Andy Johnson. We are looking at basal reading instruction. Full disclosure, I think a knowledgeable teacher can teach much more effectively without them. However, they are a tool, and a tool's effectiveness is based on how it is used. So you can use them effectively. I think knowledgeable teachers can do a much better job without them. Thus said, let's take a look at the components. It is a teacher's manual. It has the complete program there, everything that you need to know to teach reading, allegedly. All right. Now, Basals are designed to make money for the publisher, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, they are expensive. You can teach much more effectively, efficiently, and economically without them. And we always have to ask, is this program, what they're promoting, is it research-based or is it sales-based? A for-profit entity is for-profit. And again, nothing wrong with that as long as you remember what the prime motivation is. It has leveled books or readers for different reading levels, a series of books. However, keep in mind that having these leveled readers and leveled instruction is different from differentiation. High ability readers tend to get more faster, lower level readers get less slower. Same thing, just faster or slower. But there are different levels or stratifications of reading, and that's a good thing. Okay? There is a scope and sequence of skills, a systematic plan that defines what is taught and in what order. Whether students need them or not, they all start at the beginning and get the same parts attached to them as they march in lockstep down this educational conveyor belt, a scope and sequence. It has workbooks or reproducibles used to practice the skills instruction that are taught. Often these are used as seat work to keep students busy while the teacher actually instructs students in small group. And I use that word instruct in quotations. And here's the thing, these are expensive, $10. For $10, I could buy probably two great paperback, soft-covered books that students might actually enjoy. These are $10 a pop for each student every year, one or two books a year. It represents a code-first or skills-based reading instruction where students learn to sound out words, and reading is sounding out words. It usually does not develop the other two cueing system. It develops the phonological, but not syntax and semantics. And it has end-of-unit tests, criterion level tests, to test and to assess how well you did on these specific skills taught in that unit. So it's measuring reading sub-skills. It has word identification worksheets to practice word identification skills, usually phonics skills, one of 6 word identification ways to identify a word. Vocabulary worksheets used to teach or to reinforce a small subset of vocabulary. Keep in mind, students learn about 5,000 new words a year. They learn them in context. The most effective ways to develop students' ability to learn new words or vocabulary is wide reading, discussion, and concept learning. So vocabulary worksheets, a tool, not a very effective tool for developing vocabulary. So keep that in context. Comprehension worksheets, these tend to be remembering worksheets to develop comprehension by teaching and developing cognitive skills, the skills that students use as they are reading. And during reading instruction is included in some of these. Now this, if you're doing a shared reading activity or a guided reading activity where you're reading a book out loud or together, and actually has the things that teachers will say. All right, here's what the teacher says and here's what you say. And some of this is cockamamie. It seems like it is de-skilling the teacher. You just open up the book and this is what you say like you're a robot. Here's the disadvantages of Basals, and if you can't tell, I do not think much of them. I think that a good teacher can teach much better without. It reflects a skills-based approach. Reading is simply an accumulation of little skills. You learn all these little skills and there you go. You can read. And that's not how the human brain learns to read. Reading is a meaning-making endeavor. It takes time away from real reading or real reading practice. You need a certain amount of skills, but you need lots and lots of practicing. As I said, it's seen as de-skilling the teacher. You teacher, you don't know much. You just read these words and do what it says. Be quiet. And that way it disempowers the teacher. They're not able to make the choices. If a district says you must teach this, teach it in this way, in this order, the teacher is not able to make the decisions that he or she knows is best for his or her students. It has this one-size-fits-all instruction. All students need this in this order, whether they need it or not. The stories tend to be mush. They have to appeal to everyone and can't offend anyone. So in order to make money, you have to have stories that don't offend anyone. So the stories aren't all that exciting. And the workbooks tend to be used for seat work, management, and assessment. And really, the goal of reading is to read and enjoy, read and understand, become a better reader, be better able at creating meaning with print. The goal of reading is not to finish Basal workbooks or do well on Basal unit tests. It is to create meaning with text, to understand what you are reading. Tends to focus only on letter identification skills and not on the 6 word identification skills. They are expensive, 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 and often some beginning ones have a controlled vocabulary. Dan the man sat on a fan. This is a vocabulary that's used to reinforce a particular letter sound or letter pattern, and it creates reading that's not authentic. Text, words, sentencing, phraseology that does not sound like the words children hear around them every day. That makes learning to read more difficult. Some tips for, if you're going to use them, they can be used effectively, but leave lots of room for real reading, not the fake stuff you do with Basals. Worksheets can be very effective tools, but use them judiciously. Don't have to use every worksheet, and it's great to have students work in pairs. It's a teaching tool, all right, where they can talk with each other. Use it as scaffolded instruction in the class. Keep skills instruction brief and quickly paced. You don't have to do every skill in the workbook. Keep it quick. They don't learn to read by the skills. The skills are used just to develop the ability to read, to strengthen these neural pathways. And to the greatest extent possible, supplement with real books and real reading to the greatest extent possible. All right? Keep in mind, it should be 80% authentic reading to 20% skills, or 70-30. Those are the two ratios to keep in mind in reading instruction.